Welcome back to day 3 of Masters Madrid. It is time for our second match of the day. China's #1 seed Edward Gaming versus Pacific's #1 seed Gen G. I'm Mika Fabs, back on the desk once again with Mimi and Kakuka. I hope you ladies are ready for another banger match today.
I was hoping for more from that first one.
I know. We wanted a map 3.
But this series is going to be so exciting as well. I feel like it's been a long time coming for the best of these two regions in kind of their new form, with Gen G taking over that crown in Pacific to have a match.
Yeah, exactly. And especially after EDG getting the final win against HyperX, I feel like everything is coming to fruition. Sometimes when we talk about the placements from the teams coming into the tournament, I think that both these teams really deserve that top 1. Gen G proved it the other day, and so did EDG.
Oh yeah, there were a lot of big surprises that happened the other day, and that's how these teams came to this point, right? But there was also a lot of trash talk about this match, and I just love it. Here's what Munchkin had to say about this match. Are you ready, Kang Kang?
Not like full trash, like recycling talk maybe, but both these players.
A little light.
That's
but
a saying now, Bea, and you can't stop that.
Yeah, I won't stop you. I'm never. From the beginning of LCQs, many Japanese fans call me the god of operator, but now I want them to know I'm the god of duelist.
Every Kang Kang quote is so hard.
It's so like, metal.
I mean, they
so
chew
metal.
the bones to like pieces, or how was it? Like,
yeah,
I'm gonna chew my opponent's bones to dust, I think?
Something like that.
He's crazy.
You know what? If ever Valorant has like a heavy metal kind of theme, and the lyrics of like the opening song should be like Kang Kang's quotes. Yes. I feel like that's what
I feel also like in the past he was more about the teams. I like the fact that he's humbling a little bit more. You know, I think that he's taking a step back.
He's focused on himself.
Yes.
I think that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
No. Yeah, I think it's great. I think that the evolution that we're seeing within the players themselves and the personalities coming into emerging with the rest of the community that we already have is perfect.
Well, I guess, you know, when you talk about EDG, you usually talk about Kang Kang, but there's so many other players that are really delivering.
There's actually nobody else to talk about.
There's nobody else to talk about, really. Well, let's send it over to Golden Boy and hear from EDG's Nobody.
Nobody, come here real fast, my friend. Hello, hello. Good to see you. How you doing? Oh, stand right here for me if you don't mind. Yesterday, you guys overcame a massive challenge by defeating HyperX. And now, today, you enter a new era here where you have an opportunity to overcome new challenges. Is the next challenge to win the tournament, or are there more in the way?
那其实在昨天的比赛，你们也是完成了一个属于自己的挑战，打败了 PRX。那你觉得接下来会不会有更多的挑战在等着你们？或许是赢下这整个所有的比赛，又或者说还有其他的挑战，你觉得在等待着你们去完成的？
我觉得今天的对手来说，对我们的话是一个挑战吧。如果今天能够顺利拿下的话，我觉得我们后面的旅程将会一帆风顺。
I think today our opponent is definitely another challenge for us. If we can overcome this, maybe after this we can do everything well.
Right, well, I think a lot of people would love to see that. Good luck to you, my friend. Back to you guys.
Well, it looks like they're just about ready for every single challenge. And I mean, EDG got revenge on HyperX. So I think after that history and finally managing to overcome your demons at international tournaments, right? I think like you'd be ready for just about anything.
Yeah, I mean, they've played this team 3 times before at global events, have lost every single time. But in this one, it felt to me like the final evolution of EDG's style. When we first saw them at global, they were this chaotic team who was so focused on individuals, a lot like what kind of FPX is now. But in this match, they were so slow and controlled. They were very focused, especially on the attack side, of playing these really patient mid-rounds, waiting for HyperX to mess up, and then finding the gap.
Yeah, and actually that is something that you can expect from HyperX, right? Not the messing up, but actually, you know, they're going for the aggression. They're doing a little bit of those funky plays. I think that adaptation also is going to help them throughout the rest of the tournament, because the opponents and the teams look more like HyperX than the conventional teams, especially with how the meta is shaping and how the regions are advancing and moving forward. So good to know that they can get that revenge, but is it going to be enough when put up against different kind of playstyles? Like, for example, Gen G being more traditional.
I mean, I feel like both these teams actually have really comparable styles, right?
Yes.
They're both now playing that super slow, mid-round heavy style, trying to embed lurks, but both have these like really ridiculous kind of levels of players to step up in the late round and win clutches, which I think makes this a very interesting style match.
Speaking of players that really step up and make it into clutches, we have to talk about Haodong, because I have to tell there's almost something eerie about the way he plays. There's always something uncanny. He's always at the right place at the right time every single round.
Yeah, exactly. And that is something that made the difference completely on the previous matchup. Seeing the way that he was finding the space, that he was finding the right time, and that he was giving the right information to the rest of the team. I think that we highlight so many IGLs around the world, and it is time that EDG evolves, moves away from that tag of, yeah, we have Kankan, he is good on the operator, haha, we do duels, to actually thinking of them as a very high contending team.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, his evolution has really, I think, mirrored the team. As the team has gotten better, so much of it has been about Haodong's IGLing. I think we've really seen him learn from the teams they've played global event after global event. Well, this is the time he's ready to rock up and teach some people, because his lurks were perfect yesterday against HyperX. When we talk about exploiting that gap, getting in these mid-rounds, it's all this guy. It's all this guy.
Yeah, it's again, as I say, it's eerie, it's uncanny, it makes my spider senses tingle.
Well, Boo's not on this team, so I don't see why it would be eerie.
Well, that's true. No need to be shocked or anything. But I feel like, you know, when you talk about EDG, again, you talk about Kangkang, it's great to see, by the way, that he is also evolving, because, you know, you usually lock him onto the duelist role and in the super opper of EDG, but now you see him actually flexing onto different roles. He brought out the KO, for example, a while ago, and he is no stranger at all to events like these. And I believe, Mimi, you did sit down with the EDG duelist, now maybe Flex, to talk about his return to the big stage.
I'm joined here by Kong Kong and our translator, DJ. Kong Kong, welcome to Madrid. I wanted to start off by asking you, this is the first event now that you as EDG has been representing the CN International League. How has it changed from previous events to now playing in the league?
那其实对于我们是代表着我们 CN 联赛建赛区以来第一次参加这个世界性的赛事嘛？那你觉得和之前相比的话，来到这次马德里大师赛有没有什么不一样呢？
我觉得这次参加马德里可能更多的是背负 VCTCN 的一些荣誉吧，所以说我要先为兄弟们登上这座山，然后为兄弟们插支面旗。
I think like we kind of like take the pride of our Season League. For all of my brothers from CN, I kind of like, I want to climb this mountain for them.
Yeah, well, you're already kind of starting on that quest. I want to ask about some of your games that you played in CN. For EDG, it feels like sometimes when we watch you play, you see kind of different versions of this team. When you played against a team like Case, it's a very like put together team, and when you play against FPX, sometimes it gets a little bit more chaotic. Do you think EDG as a team plays to the level of the opponent they're against?
其实我们会发现 EDG 在面对不一样的对手的时候，其实你们的打法风格会有改变。比如说你们在面对 KC， 可能你们会更团队一些的那样去玩，但是在面对 PRX 的时候，你们又会可能也会打得比较冲啊，比较有是那种打得比较有侵略性那种。那你们会根据队伍的不同来改变你们的打法风格吗？
我觉得这是以前我们的一个弊端吧。然后我觉得我们现在要做的就是。在他们像 PRX 他们可能会打得很混乱的时候，然后我们做到，不要被他们的节奏所影响到自己需要打什么的东西。对，我觉得我们现在应该做的是做好自己。对。
I feel like if we change our play style, depends on who is our opponent. It's kind of like a disadvantage of us because we want to like play our own thing, no matter who is our opponent. For example, if it's PRX, we don't want if they play chaotic. If we discipline and do our things, I think that will be better.
Okay, very interesting. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have, but thank you very much for joining me, Kong Kong.
Yeah.
Well, Kang Kang talking about scaling mountains, and the next challenge, the next mountain that they have to scale will be Gen G. This was their first global qualification, and right out of the gate, they took down Loud of all of the teams.
Yeah, I mean, Gen G's debut showed that Pacific was not a fluke. It wasn't just a one-off to go out there and beat a team like HyperX. This squad was here to play. Loud came out playing some funky comps. They went back. They changed onto a Yoru on their Ascend. They did a lot of stuff that I think would be really hard to deal with as a team seeing it for the first time. And Gen G adapted to it incredibly well. Again, comparable to EDG, this team does a great job at slowing down these rounds, not letting themselves get dragged into the chaos and instead setting up to find the right mid-round idea and adapt to even these weirder comps very well.
And we've been so excited to see, you know, faces coming back and new faces. Lakia is one of them. I think that he had a good day. The fact that we're seeing Texture in such a good form coming into the international stage, those are the kind of players that will make a difference, right? The one that has to be the explosive player and also the one that has to bring all the knowledge and all that calmness onto the stage.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, you mentioned Texture, right? He was a player that was already one of the best duelists to come out of Pacific, and you set him up in a team that complements his playstyle perfectly, and suddenly you have one of the most dominant duelist showings in an entire tournament that was Pacific Kickoff.
I was honestly kind of disappointed watching him play all of last year and be tossed around on all these.
Wants more? Okay.
I mean, you meant the other day.
No. Think about how many different agents he was playing, how often his role was being switched on. No, he gets on this team, he's playing Jet, he's playing Duelist, he's playing what he's good at, and he's damn good at it.
And he's probably one of the reasons why they were able to manage it, to get this miracle run that Genji had in Pacific. And I think the fact that he's able to translate it here, and by the way, I do not think that he's still 100%. It's amazing and will probably take Pacific very far.
Well, let's see if we have more from Genji with Golden Boy and Munchkin.
Munchkin, come here, buddy. Oh, man, it's been so long. We got to get the awkward hugs out of the way. Buddy, it's been a minute. I saw your post online to Kong. You had asked him if he was ready for today. Is it safe to say that you're excited for this match, and why is that?
Just T1 Munchkin lost to EDG, but Genji Munchkin will not.
Oh, Genji Munchkin will not. Good to see you, buddy. Always a pleasure. Back to you guys.
All right, welcome to Map Select presented by OMEN. This is match 2 of the day, and we'll go ahead and get started. EDG, do you want Team A or Team B?
Team B.
Team B. So Genji, you will be Team A, and we will start with your first ban.
Ben Bind.
Bind. EDG, your ban.
Ben Lotus.
Lotus.
Yeah.
And map number 1 from Genji.
We pick Icebox.
Icebox. Side on Icebox.
Attack.
Attack. And map number 2 from EDG.
Split.
Split. Side on Split. Attack. Okay, next set of bands starting with Genji, you have Ascent, Breeze, and Sunset.
Ben Sunset.
Ban Sunset. Your ban, you have Ascent and Breeze.
Ben Ascent.
Okay. So map number 3 by default is going to be Breeze, Genji, side on Breeze.
Attack.
Attack. All right. Good luck to you both.
No confiaron, pero mira, no. Llego con los míos y la grada explota. Le di la razón al que me quiso ver bien. Lo soñé en mi habitación y ahora en primera me ven. No te hablo del avión, vine por mi cinturón. No confiaron, pero mira, no. Llego con los míos y la grada explota. No confiaron, pero mira, no. Llego con los míos y la grada explota.
A battle for that short first spot into playoffs. China's #1 seed versus Pacific's #1 seed. It's EDG versus Gen.G. And we've seen, Mimi, just how hard these teams can punch, even against the best of them all.
They absolutely can. EDG has been a team on a long rise, climbing mountain after mountain. But their next opponent, the new kings of Pacific, Gen.G, have been impressing everyone on the run-up to Masters Madrid. And this is their chance to lock in playoffs early.
And it wouldn't be the first time that we see a miracle run in a Masters tournament. And I think that not only making it into playoffs would be enough for Gen.G, they should be hungry for more after defeating a world champion in Loud.
But think about for EDG as well.
Yeah.
Every international tournament they've attended, they've gotten better. The placement has increased. They ended at a crescendo last year at Champions with a new CN League in place with them on top again. There's definitely that pressure to succeed, to make it international, to represent China the best they can.
I love that you brought that up because, like, you know, you're just reminding everybody that EDG kind of had a later start than all of these teams, right? And now we're seeing them here dominating so many others, and it's going to be a memorable performance for them for sure, especially since, as you mentioned, we're seeing them getting better and better and better.
They're the only team at Masters Madrid who didn't make a roster change into 2024.
That's right.
They are really the last, like, I guess, old guard team that is fully intact.
How
What they
did
used
we
to be.
get here where they are the old guard in a tournament? I think it's crazy and outrageous. And also, if we think about the map veto that we just saw, knowing that Gen.G is the team that has played every one of them that has played every single map that is out there in the map pool, is very interesting to see where EDG wants to be taking things, and also if Gen.G is going to be changing things around.
Yeah, we're starting out on Icebox for this series, and I think this is an interesting matchup because Gen.G have been so damn good on this map. They're yet to lose it in 2024.
Yeah.
5-win streak. The last name they took down was Loud, who a lot of people considered one of the kings of Icebox through the history of that team. They play the Gecko KO composition, playing around those dizzy flash combos, and they're so good at it.
And it's perfect, right, to play against EDG. They do not have that much into it, and we see in the Agents already.
Yeah, and no changes here. EDG have been playing this comp at home in China. The comparison is playing into that Sova versus that KO. Both these comps play pretty similar when they're on the attacking side. They don't have that Sage Wall, they don't have the Harbor utility, so on their B hits, they have to be fighting forward, going for space. So what I'm looking at in this series is Kung Kung and Texture, two Jet players that we know are incredible, and how well they can be set up to take space forward and allow that plant to come down, or to win the retakes.
Yeah, and I want something else. I want to see the Gecko making and being the difference. I want to not give them the space that they want and actually finding not only the lurkins but the right timings to go into execute.
Well, we're all set for our second match of the day. Let's send it over to our casters. It's Mitch and Tom.
Thank you so much, Mika. I'm very excited for this one, Tom. It looks like we've got a pretty juicy series in front of us. You want to throw out a favorite before we go into it? Any predictions?
Oh, that's brutal.
Throw you under the bus today.
I think I'm slightly leaning the way of Gen.G. I think they've been in slightly better form, but EDG are one of those teams that they're on the war path, is the way I want to put it. They are slowly improving, better and better, and their game versus HyperX showed they could weather the storm. Well, they've got slightly different weather conditions as we kick off on Icebox, and that's not the greatest start with T2 already going down.
Yeah, losing out on their Killjoy. A lot of space behind them's now wide open for Gen.G to take. So they've got to be a little quicker or move back towards the site, make this a brief site take. Instead, it's going to be much faster as they look to fight on the site. Meteor good for one at least, keeping numbers in favor, but Haodong, this man was impressive, able to constantly get behind enemies, but this time he's taking them head on. 3 kills already, and EDG are back in the round. A 4th just around the corner with Munchkin so desperately low, but Haodong falls. Texture putting up one hell of a fight. Connections, another with the headshot on Smoggy, and nobody, 68 HP. Texture's gonna find it hard to get him dropped with 2 bullets left. He needs to be precise, and he has no idea where nobody has snuck off to. Texture creates some space to pop the reload, back to 6 bullets. A bit more spam ability, and he's right in the corner! Only 1 shot! And he needed both to land. That is 1-0 for EDG.
Yeah, a real back and forth in the initial pistol, and already seeing a little bit of what this man Texture can do with the Sheriff. Definitely fearsome opposition. But I do like this, sort of a slightly more direct approach initially from that side of EDG, just looking to take their way straight in towards the side, and even Texture can bail them out of this one. Of course, just looking at this map in general, we've already seen the actually very, very good attack sides coming out of the side of Gen G. So they're starting on the weaker half, and for EDG, they really struggled, but we've only seen them play it versus FPX, who, I'll be honest with you, that's not a litmus test of how you play a map, because FPX are playing the double duelist, Reyna, Jet, aggro, crazy style of play. So I don't think that it's something to really worry about too much in terms of that match going down poorly. And for EDG, obviously getting off to those good starts, being able to build the economy up a little bit is a good place to be.
Well, Tom, we've seen the famous words pop up on the screen. Of course, we're in a technical pause here after just the first round. Best time for it. You know, realistically, if you're halfway through a series, that can really break momentum for any team. But right off the bat of the pistol, it's going to give more time to Concon, for example, who had already decided to purchase an Outlaw. Now, this is something I am thrilled to see. I looked back at one of their previous Icebox games, didn't see them purchasing the Outlaw, and got very sad because Concon is one of the strongest snipers we see floating around the international scene. And I just think he can maximize the potential of this weapon. So super excited to see if he keeps that, what he can do with it. But for now, we're going to be sitting in this tech pause while Gen G get their gear fixed up.
Yeah, I think this is a match filled with storylines as well. Like, you're looking at Lakia looking to make his way back to a playoffs after a career that hasn't been where it should be. I think that's the best way to put it. He peaked in New Term and now has been on his way back through the entirety of his previous rosters. For Gen G as an organization, this is a real opportunity for them to get into the playoffs. A team that last year started strong but then underperformed, now have an opportunity to do it at a Masters. For the side of EDG, this is a story of, can we now see China overtake Pacific? Because that's the thing. They've been pretty close a couple of times. They've battled versus HyperX many a time and finally beat them just yesterday. Now they have an opportunity to take down both Pacific teams and become, well, basically the kings of Asia. That's what we're looking at here. So it really is an important matchup for either side. Gen G to finally sort of prove themselves, and even just sort of what we saw from Munchkin earlier, the sort of like, okay, I lost to them on T1, but I'm not losing to them here. Maybe just feeling that little bit extra confidence with his new roster, with his new team.
Well, Tom, it looks like we're back. We got to see actually pretty cool over the shoulder of them just testing it there at the end. Mouse is back online, game's running smooth, and so the game is running right back into things with EDG 1-0 up. As we can see, Concon didn't decide to take the Outlaw. He's gone instead for the Guardian. Different uses, different ideas. This attack side, nice and slow, little bit of A control. They had the recon go up, but it was contested by the side of Gen G. They've refocused and they look towards the B site. Drone clearing out a ton, and a Viper wall that they can easily push towards the site with. You don't imagine Gen G will be playing ahead of that with their pistols.
Normally in these sort of rounds, you expect Gen G to, like, they'll have utility to deny these plants. Like, you're talking about nano swarms, snake bites, you're talking about the mosh, fragments. But this is a low buy round, so they haven't used any of that. So it gives a lot easier access, because that's always one of the things we talk about with this sort of composition being run by EDG. They have to take a lot more control to get that plant down. In this sort of round, though, just a farming exercise, a chance for Concon to really build up those orbs. You know what, he's still going to get a couple. Still makes it a little bit costly.
Trying to see if we're going to have Chichu pick up a weapon. He did make it just about. So 3 rifles carried forward for EDG altogether. Decently successful round, and I think the main thing being that Concon finds so many kills and the death, this might be able to cancel out some of the economic disadvantages that could be coming after this round. For now, they'll play it as a bonus with some pistols, and he's, Concon's 3 away from the Blade Storm.
Yeah.
Again, he might be baiting me, but as we get back in, you see a scope in his hand. The weapon dropped over, Tom. We're going to get it. Let's see what he can do. Attack side Outlaw on this man.
He has to get kills here because he basically needs the Blade Storm for the next round. Okay, Chichu does actually have extra credits, so maybe they could drop an extra one, but it will leave them with some gaps going into the next. Obviously, again, the real benefits of their composition is being able to execute onto that A site. But yeah, it also Concon just himself.
This is the thing, you've got Karen and Lakia both now terrified because they've got half shields. So that Outlaw rings out and you realize, we're in a bit of trouble. I wonder if even an element of that is looking at previous iceboxes and seeing this wasn't a preferred weapon. With Kankan down, that rifle can still be retrieved and used later on. And really, you got to think about damage. You got to think about damage. That's the name of the game here.
Either way, we are going to see them building up back towards this A site again. Nice work from Haodong to at least be able to find one. And in this 2v4 situation, it is not looking good. It is not looking good. Really needs to get something. Really needs to get something here.
30 seconds.
And now Caron is the only one remaining. And 1 versus 3. Try and turn this. They planted in an audacious spot. I guess expecting him to come around on the flank. This man has been a real showstopper when it comes to Gen G's success. And he might be able to get a second player planting. Definitely got a little bit tight for a second there. Looking to try and isolate one of these duels, faking out the sound. But now know exactly where he is. Needs to try and drop one of them, and Haodong is waiting on the other side. Great start to this map from EDG.
Well, we've seen these leads fumbled before the 3-0 and the immediate bite back, but this one, it has a very sweet taste for the EDG fans. Their economy is stacked. You've got 3 players floating around that 5K mark. In fact, coming out of that round, you've got players close to 9K, but big reinvestments being made, big upgrades too. The Blade Storm will be online soon, so definitely no economic struggles, and a Viper's Pit to work with, most likely in this round. Will it be used in this round? That's a different question, but these are huge pieces of utility and abilities to have, where Gen G now find themselves trailing and on an eco.
Yeah, I do wonder when the moment will be that we see Gen G kind of stack up a little bit over on towards that A site. It's what this composition for the side of EDG really relies upon, is these A site hits, because again, it can be quite difficult without having a straight up blockade of something like a Cove, or even like having those extra flashes that you might see coming out of Gecko. For now, at least, though, already shutting down the players in mid, and they are just winning every single battle very easily indeed.
Well, Blade Storm even going to come out here to try and close out this round. I'm not sure this was needed, but you know.
Either a misclick or he's just like, I'm going to get 5 kills next round anyway. So
audacious play if it's the latter. I would side towards a misclick, but maybe it's just asserting the dominance. Oh, first shot, not gonna lie. He's up in the window!
You go what you deserve.
Absolutely.
I'll be honest.
Economic damage now looking pretty good for Gen G. Already 2 rifles dropped. Let's see how many more. Again, there's so much money on the other side, but Munchkin was really starting to dice them up. Haodong was left on 8 HP. Luckily, far enough away. Now, 4-0 we go for EDG, and now the buy comes through from Gen G. But the thing is, the attackers have quite a lot to work with, not just on the credit side. Like we said, the Viper's Pit now is online. The Hunter's Fury is there. The Blade Storm isn't, but that's a different story.
Yeah, he hit 3 headshots, and he only actually got 1 kill from headshots because of some of the players so far away. I'm looking at that operator, though. This is where Texture can bridge the gap a little bit. You can see that gamble already beginning. 3 players over. They're going to look to try and pressure, but this is why they have 3 players on the other side of the map. The reliance on Texture. No escape available at this stage, so he's just going to have to run, and he will hightail it out, but there's been a catch in mid.
Yeah, this is a big kill. Losing their utility, they're going to filter back in very quickly on the side of Gen G to take that space, but the cost is massive. 2 kills and a big player taken down. If Gen G decide, or if EDG, pardon me, try to switch directions, Gen G would be blind to it. Up close here, Texture's already used his dash. There's no easy way out. And with the shot, not hit! Nobody is punishing again and again! Lakia, the last man standing. Once the herald of this region. It was all we heard about again and again. Oh, wait till he steps on the international stage. Well, doesn't look too good in this one. There's a 1v4 though, so we'll give him a chance. 5-0.
Doesn't he only play Bind?
Yeah, I think they messed up their roster on this one. Oh, that was a those are
dark days.
Yeah.
It's really funny as well because the first map Gen G banned was Bind. So we're not doing it to you, buddy. We're not doing it. We're not doing it. But no, what a start from EDG. This is a map that they played once in the season in China. They lost to FVX, and that was in the final. And on the other side of things, a 5-0 record beating RRQ twice, Team Secret, Zeta, and of course Loud, which we saw within this tournament. So you're talking about a Gen.G in massive form on this map, and an EDG that have barely played it and lost. And right now they're winning 5-0.
Well, the sign in the audience might be spot on, op long, and right here they've given an op over to Kankan. An opportunity for EDG to further extend that score line. Their opponents not having a lot of credits. They're going to be coming in with a couple rifles, maybe a big iron on a couple players' hips. But for the most part, it's not going to be pretty. Tom, this is a flying start for EDG on their attack side. Do we expect Gen.G to turn it around on the next?
It's
what's
possible.
What's their minimum, their benchmark?
I'm looking at this round purely because Texture is a Bladestorm.
Okay.
He is one of the OGs when it comes to the Korean Jet, and if he starts hitting his shots, that's why they've actually invested a decent amount. Like Munchkin's bought a rifle, along Karon has as well, but I genuinely think they believe they can win this round when Texture has a Bladestorm. He is that good.
Well, he's had a tough time when it came to the operator up on B. And one of the other things is the consistent knife coming out of Smoggy early on sort of deters that early aggression. You're never really going to have a chance to actually use it now. You have heard that Bladestorm pop.
He's lost it.
And he's gone for a moment. It will be back, and there's no pressure immediately applied, but they are keeping 3 players towards the B site, and this is exactly what EDG want. The rotates just now started for Gen.G, but EDG are already knocking on the door of A. It's all about pace here. How soon they're going to actually commit to this? It looks like not soon enough. Texture has rotated in, and in fact, Karen's on the way to help out. It's going to be a stacked site, and Munchkin at least grabs one. This is what we needed to see, and Texture now canceled out completely.
Yeah. Second time he's lost it, but he was given an opportunity. Nice shot from Meteor, though. Gonna go back in with the Sheriff. Still just means a 1-for-1 trade, but Karon's starting to step up. This is like to the double as he gets a second off the back of the Guardian. And now that Bladestorm, at least a couple of knives should be online. Smoggy just waiting patiently. Little bro is gonna give his position away, and eventually, finally, that knife comes through. The Mastercard Thrifty will give Gen.G their first round.
Yeah, Texture waited quite a while to get to use that. A funny round from them, but the early contact on B, I guess from EDG, the fact that they didn't follow it up, you have the drone go through, the knife fall, and then they immediately move towards that A site, but shifting the whole way. It allowed them to rotate in on the side of Gen.G on time. They were ready for this play, and they obviously held back until you saw those knives come back online. Good crunch, and 5-1 on the board. This was not a round that most people would have expected them to take. And if they did, probably off a massive play from Texture.
No, I thought they'd win it, but yeah.
You just expected the 1 kill from the Bladestorm, did you, Tom?
Yeah.
That adds up.
Let's just not play back any of the audio of what I said.
No, we can replay it later. It's okay. The op again on Texture. He has another opportunity. And a dash still online.
As well.
Oh, they've been spotted. Yeah, that recon just saw the player in the corner. This would have been a great bait, firing the op, running back, telling them like, oh, I'm scared, and then easily mowed down by Lakia.
Looking at the aggressive position as well. Like, Munchkin has pushed up. Nice shot from Meteor as always. Won that battle versus Chichu for the first time. Now this position becomes a little bit more audacious because you already have the man advantage. You don't really need to be in such an aggressive position anymore, but there isn't a safe way out. This needs to be at least a 1-for-1 trade, and I think he's going to get maybe even more than that. The only thing is the timing. There's that burst when Smoggy comes around the corner. The hard check.
Spike down A.
Really saved the day with that one. Nobody's going to recon out after dropping Texture, making it up top, but Karon's spotting it. And for EDG, the spike is now down. They've got plenty of control. The B side is theirs. But what are they going to do with it? Nothing without that spike. It's Kankan, 1 versus 3, 20 seconds left. And it seems like this round is already over. No, the angle's a little off on Timmy. So he's sneaking his way through, but now he's being spotted. And with 12 seconds left, there is no chance to plant. They're just going to send one player. Well, actually, they're going to scatter in every direction, ensuring no matter what, he can't get all 3 kills.
Yeah, if it was anyone else, I think maybe there'd be a bit of confidence. You're going, do we want to face into Kankan? Nah, not really. They are going to hit the steps, though.
That's why.
That's the exact reason why. So clean with it. But I'm liking the adaptations we're already seeing from Gen.G. That was the exact thing I was saying in the early rounds is, are they going to now adapt to stack up that A side? Because, as said, with all the utility that's there for EDG and without having something to help them get the plant on that B site, it becomes a lot easier to fall back into the same sort of traits of going in towards that A site and looking for that after plant. So they've just started stacking up players. You've had aggressive positioning from Munchkin, and then they've gambled in the early round. Okay, let's see if they push B. If they don't, we'll quickly rotate. And it's worked for them so far.
Well, Gen.G certainly starting to find their footing on this defensive side. The 5-0 was worrying, concerning, but it's still very much alive. Even in the last series, thinking about the Lotus game, you saw Sentinels flying into the lead, and it's much closer at the halftime. It's fairly common for teams to need that little bit of time to see how your opponents are playing.
To what you were saying earlier, I think for minimum 5 rounds, I think Gen.G are fine. They've shown that they have normally about 6 to 8 rounds every single time they play their attack side, so it's definitely their favored of the lot. Looking to now set up in towards this B-take, but again, the read from Gen.G, they've got that early rotation, they've set Texture up over on the A site, and actually, we're going to see a Hunter's Fury popped. They're going to try and get the opener, and they might just succeed. Nice work to take out Karen. That weakens the defense a bit, but there are still multiple players here, and the hold on mid to make sure they can't rotate back.
Well, that hold's just now given up, but they're aware it could still be online. Instead, they're going to commit towards the B side rather than going to A, and it's worked out fantastically. Just Munchkin left. He's got some support on the way. Meteor just making it through the halls, but look who's right behind them. Nobody snuck his way in, and he's grabbed a quick double. The lead now convincingly in their favor, and with alert from Chichu, the final nails in the coffin for that round. 6-2. EDG back on the board.
That was just gorgeous. The way they isolated each of the fights, okay, I'd say the Hunter's Fury had a little bit of risk to it, but you could normally gamble, especially after seeing the snake bite. You know that he's on yellow, so either you clear yellow or you have at least a kill. And then on the other side of things, just lovely little interplay. The pot flash coming out of Smoggy, he's already racking up the assists, and well, you're going to bank on if you blind an opponent, Concon's getting that kill.
I think I'd be pretty confident with that one. So long as he's on the same side of the map, that player's dropping now. Concon wants to get greedy. He heard the orb be tapped, but there were players covering it from far back. Lots of big irons in play for Sheriffs, and a classic for Lakia. But the real danger here is when it comes to ultimates. Retake with a Viper's Pit, even the pistols can be deadly inside of that, and a Thrash online as well. There's definitely potential for Gen.G to play retakes with some success. Although, again, it would be risky. Really, if we see them commit anything big, I imagine it's going to be on the back of a couple kills first. And they need to find those. Texture, a good candidate for it, but they're going to be forced back by this lockdown.
I think that's been the problem, because some of these ults have been online for a little while now, but they just haven't really found any opportunities to actually be able to use them. And a lot of that is because they've stacked the right sites most times. And at least the lockdown and other stuff is very good for retaking. Again, they do a little bit of damage, but ultimately, Mitch, not really much to write home about.
No, and I think certainly not with the amount of credits that are in play for most of the EDG players. Even the reinvestments will keep them with a 2-round buffer. So for Gen.G, coming towards the latter stage of this half with just a couple rounds left to compete for, yeah, it's not ideal. They have those 2, rounds 6 and 7 under their belt. Things were looking good, but we do need to see them build the rest of those foundations fairly soon. And, well, Tom, you've just pointed at my screen, and I almost just don't want to bring it up. But, yeah, I said Lackey has had a tough time.
It's
He's
the
still
no
having a tough
assists
time
as well. Like, it means that so far there's been almost literally no impact, which is a pretty scary prospect. I've loved the way that they've used this combination of Gecko and KO in the past. So far, it's just not really been there. Oh, Kankan has definitely a little bit of extra sound. I don't think it's ludicrous to say that Gen.G have a decent idea of where they're going. Already 3 players sat within the A site. Alert from Chichu. This battle between him and Meteor has been a regular occurrence, but this time it looks like it might go amiss.
Oh, Chichu's at least been spotted, but they don't react in time. A free kill for him, but not the follow-up. Meteor's at least able to keep this control, as the lockdown now is a big threat for EDG. They're going to give up the site control. Spams on the way as they retreat. Concon keeping their back secure, but a Viper's Pit to stop them from getting back into the site, to stop them from keeping their Viper's Pit online. EDG completely shut out of the A site. Now they've got to go looking elsewhere, but in fact, they've already gone looking elsewhere. They've pushed up mid, made it through the tube. They'll be spotted immediately by the turret, but with 5 HP here, a big threat for Texture. He's got an op that can one-hit them. If they've got anything, they can one-hit him back.
Yeah, they still have the spike over on A, though. They are still going in this direction. Haodong needs to find something here, and he does. It leaves it down to just one player actually within the site. They have to go running in, though. Karon might be able to just ruin their day, and that's exactly what he'll do. 3 kills, a good reaction initially off the back of the Viper's pit, but also a solid hold as he was the last point of defense.
And just a really good read from him as well, that if he sits inside that pit, they'll push in. If they go through the pit, probably he gets them both, but there's a rope right up top, and it's dangerous. Instead, he just waits for them, lets them try to jump straight through to get the plant. The time was what was putting the pressure on them. Yeah. 7-3. Gen.G found another round. Economy's good. Thrash online. They committed a couple ultis to the previous, but they also managed to deny Haodong's Viper's pit. This is an incredibly aggressive push coming out of Munchkin. No flash on the corner. Looks like he just wants to hold it, but soon you have to imagine he goes for that peek. He's out in no man's land, backed up by Karon, but now the real trouble comes into play. Where can he go from here?
Oh, they haven't actually pressured. I guess at this point they expect that there's an operator on the angle. Yeah. So they don't gonna go pushing around that corner and give Texture a free kill. Little do they know, Texture actually isn't there at all. He's on the other side of the map and again has a little bit of aggressive support from Lakia. A slower approach though from EDG, and this is what works for them. They've been very good at pulling those rotations. The calls from Haodong have been fantastic. For now at least, looking like a similar setup to what we've seen before. Now, Karon has to be careful. He got isolated last time. In fact, he's playing anti-flash, ready for it, and will even pick off that first kill.
He's done extremely well. They know he's here, but the backup is covering him until he swings into Concon. A dangerous play for anyone to make. One that, well, was punished that time, but the trade is good. 2 versus 4. Munchkin and Meteor extremely low after that engagement. But what can really be done by just a lone gun of Smoggy? 15 seconds or so to get that spike on the ground, and it looks like it will make it to the ground. Unfortunately, not planted. 7-4. Gen.G, well, they've certainly recovered this one after a shaky start and a couple bumps in the road. They could have a 7-5 half.
Yeah, and as I said, that's not bad. Like that will be workable for them. I do think they're going to have to be careful because, as you've already mentioned, the sniper of Concon on the other side is always going to be a prospect, but they've made this one look doable after what was a blitz of a first 5 rounds. Even still, though, an 8-4 and EDG are not going to be too worried whatsoever. Looking to again build up in towards that A site. The real threat, as always, is going to be Texture. They're already going to clear the close angles. It almost seems like a direct counter to just the position that Munchkin was playing earlier.
Well, here comes the null command, and assumably the rest of the EDG squad will be following up with it. A full play towards the A site. Lakia seems to be point of contact. It's nobody to find one with Texture down. Munchkin soon to follow, but EDG find a roadblock. Lakia just the one before he falls, as the defensive side is now locked out. 2 versus 3. Meteor, okay, he's caught nobody up top. The spike's still not planted, but Smoggy finds both kills to close this one out. 8-4 at the halftime, a significant lead for EDG. But Gen.G, they recovered it a little bit towards the end. They certainly seem hotter now, moving on to their attack.
Yeah, Lakia got his first kill in that round, so there you go. He's at least on the board, but it definitely was a rough half for him. Meteor is the one that we're really going to be singing about, but no, I think the side of EDG are going to be very, very happy with the way that one has gone. A fantastic start for them, but also just continuously adapting. I think they did very well slowing down a lot of the rounds and just playing with their opponents for the majority of this half.
Yeah, most definitely well on the side of Gen.G. They've gotten warmed up, but I want to hear what Chichu had to say earlier on in an interview. Let's see.
Hello， 大家好，我是 EDG 的球球，我在队里担任的是自由人的位置。我觉得赢下 HyperX 的感受是消除了这么久的争议吧，就是我们其实一直是有打赢他们的方法的，但是我们一直因为我们的心态没有放开，导致我们的操作很变形吧。因为我们在赛前的时候有看他们的 比赛录像，他们是已经有拿出过这套阵容的，而且我们在赛前我们有很多的研究去如何去应对他这个。我觉得今天浩东是今天潜伏的最好的吧，他今天在图2的时候扮演的对我们的帮助很大很大，工作了，我觉得对我们今天掰平比分很重要，对。然后图3的话，我觉得就是我们整体的一个协同跟练习了这么久的战术的一个展现吧。
Managed to get one. The Boombot's done a significant amount of damage, but he's still in the corner. They haven't spotted him. Still just surviving now. Chichu's found another as well. I don't know how these rounds are going down in the fashion they are. Howdong still alive. How has no one cleared this match?
我觉得我们的信心就来自于我们的两位教练组吧，他们两位对我们的赛前的，就是如何针对对面做出了很多他们各自的想法吧，然后去帮助我们去在赛前的训练的时候去练习，然后去适应可能会遇到的情况种种的变化吧，这就是我们现在临场比较厉害的一个点吧。我想对这些黑子来说，我知道我们一直以来我们队伍的争议很大吧，我不在乎黑子们说什么，我只知道我们的团队潜力很足。
Where obviously we can talk about the interview there with Chichu and how well Howdong did on bind. First map removed in the veto. Not really surprised by that one. I wouldn't want to play against that man either, but the fact is he's had a decent first half, but it's mainly been a team effort. And I do feel like a couple of the pieces were missing in that first half. Now, the thing that works with this comp for Gen G is those executes around that double flash. The dizzy flash combo that you can throw out with KO is fantastic. So hopefully they're going to be able to get off the mark here. Otherwise, they're going to have to head into Split, which has been an amazing map for EDG.
Yeah, it's been tough so far. Like you said, that get-go on Lakia, it's hard not to be drawn to.
He's dead.
Well, that's about as poor a start as you could get for the poor guy. He's got the 1 kill, no assists on the back of it, but his teammates looking to pick up the pieces here in the pistol. Already finding a lot of value is Meteor, and he's got backup. Even if they take him down now that he's super low or hear his steps running away, they should not assume that there's another player around here. It's free for Texture. He's also not being off to a great start. A lot of whiffed up shots, but this one, it couldn't get any easier. There you go. Smoggy down, nobody left. 1v3, Meteor low, but everyone else is healthy. And the time is on Gen G's side. This will be a impressive clutch, to say the least. He's got the first already. Okay, maybe there is a chance. The Meteor down below quickly shuts it down. Big round for Gen G to get on the board.
Yeah, you can take the man off the duelist, but you can't take the duelist out of the man. Meteor has been clean so far in this game. 17 and 10, really putting up a lot of numbers individually, but also just finding space. That was basically what he did this round, just while the rest of the action was going down elsewhere on B long, just manages to get through that mid position and find that initial fight. It's going to put them at least, well, if they convert this round within touching distance. And as said, that's all they really need. Like a lot of the games that we've seen from them, they've managed 8 rounds over on this attacking side. So they can easily get this over the line. And, wow, what a start to have already. Kankan down, one of the main danger players. Because you have to bear in mind, EDG have been unbelievable with their pistols. Even when they have nothing, they've managed to do a lot.
Oh yeah, they were a very scary team when it came to those ecos, and what we're seeing right here for EDG, 4 players stacked up and ready to go. Flash out, kill not coming in onto the little guy. So the plant has been secured. EDG numbers thinned out, and that defensive side doesn't stand a chance at this stage. You have to imagine Chichu 35 HP in a 1v3 with a Sheriff in hand. And 2 of his opponents have rifles with a double peek setup. I don't know how he hit that shot, but thank God Texture was up top to cover.
Yeah, they've made that one really costly, though. 3 players go down, so it's definitely not ideal. And I believe they lost at least a Guardian in that round. So it's not like you had a load of pistol players alongside them. So I think they could be very happy with that, especially when, for the majority, that was them fighting up against an afterplant. So I think that EDG have done well to make that one as costly as possible, and because of that, well, Lucky is only going to have himself a pistol. We'll see, though. These A-side takes is where I've really enjoyed watching this squad play. I think EDG know that. They've got 3 players here initially.
Well, early control is taken by the side of Gen G. They've also put an alarm bot to cover the walk-up. I mean, that's a very aggressive stance. I don't think we saw that from EDG on their attack side at all. No turret to cover their back either. Where is that being placed? It must have been destroyed early. And for EDG, you said 3 players on A. They're still there. But the drone clearing out some space might cause that rotate to come through. I just wonder if Gen.G are planning to go back here with Meteor still being so far up, or if he's trying to sneak behind them, which it looks like that was the idea. Not very successful.
Oh, now you're going to have Lackid looking to try and lead the charge. There was a snake bite down. I don't know if that's actually going to deny it. No, it isn't.
Far enough.
Managed to reposition, so that's something at least. Already, though, with that man advantage and Chichu on a fast flank. Bear in mind, because they lost Meteor, they don't actually have any flank watch. He is just walking up behind them. This is looking like some of the freest kills he's ever going to have. Manages the burst, but now he's just a nuisance and continues to be a flawless round coming out of the side of EDG to put themselves back on the board.
Yeah, this is a big round. I mean, as soon as they take down Meteor, they make the realization the push wasn't coming in there from the drone earlier, from the lack of footsteps and follow-ups, and the lack of entry. There was no dash in, there was nobody taking the space, no flashes, just a guy sneaking up. That's clearly a lurk. Immediately the decision is made to go on that flank, and it was the right call. The value found absolutely massive. But it was one of those rounds for Gen.G where you're not going to be happy to give it away, but it's somewhat expected. You don't get a lot of damage. I do think they'll be a bit upset that they got none.
Yeah, no, for sure. It means that now the economy can really build up for EDG. They'll have another buy, and also, in terms of ults, getting that a little bit closer. Now there is already one online. That null command available. I like the audacity of Kankan to play this spot again. He got a kill from that in the last round. So you'd think it's going to be immediately checked, and I think it may have been. I don't know if Munchkin caught the angle, but Kankan definitely saw him, and here comes that double flash, but he's managed to avoid both. And Kankan, you can't allow him to survive in these sort of positions. Just continues his aggression. Karon, the only one left. He does still have the spike. He's going to try and get the rats off, but Chichu picks him out of the sky.
I think it's fair to say he expected that. Very nice crosshair placement from him. I assume that wasn't just a reactive shot, because that would be a little bit ridiculous. Double digits for EDG on the back of that round. And you know, just looking at this, it's so smart. Kankan falls back, allows the contact to be taken by nobody, and then goes back out into heavy traffic. Yeah, you can see he was thinking about it. He tried to equalize things into a 2v2, at least use the res as a bait to force a fight. But it's not worked out. 10 rounds for EDG. Economy absolutely stacked, and Gen.G going to be in trouble. He is no more. Nice early utility. This is just making them very paranoid about middle, and you can see there's a lot of bodies looking around this area.
Yeah, the thing is, the only real danger, wow. This man is always a danger, but I mean the only real danger in this round for EDG is that Viper's Pit. Like, if they can get that into a position where the weaponry can actually become valuable, that's so filthy. They've used it to force them back. They're pushing them into Kankan. They're looking to just feed him frags. That's such a disgusting use of an ultimate. Just like, here you go, Kankan, farm.
Yeah, it's not even a time thing. There's still 50 seconds left on the clock. It's just really locking them into a box. Fish in a barrel for Kankan on the first, as Gen.G now look to take the site, but no matter, well, I was going to say where they go, they don't even get a chance to. Sprayed through the smoke immediately. 2 players holding on the next fight, and Kankan clean. The final one comes through, and again, we're not going to see any damage dealt. A flawless round for EDG. And if you're on this attacking side, it feels like they're just running headfirst into a brick wall. This is an opportunity as they get the rifles out, but Tom, it could be their last real opportunity. Some ultis online, some rifles in hand, and EDG 2 rounds away from taking it.
I'll be honest with you, the way this match is going so far, this could be a statement from EDG.
Ooh.
Because they played versus HyperX, a team they've never been able to beat. They beat them in a long fought-out series. They come in here, this is a map 5-0 for the side of Gen.G, and they're going into Split next, which is their best map. If they just demolish Gen.G here, I think we have to start switching our expectations. And for the side of Gen.G, well, we heard from Munchkin earlier, this was going to be the time that he manages to get his revenge. It is not looking likely right now.
Deploying drone.
This drone's going to get so much information as well. Here comes the dash, and the dash out of Concon as well. He is repositioning and caught, falling out of the sky. Smoggy's made it out.
Actually, Karen goes down trying to kill him.
Oh, no.
Chi-Chu has managed to get that kill. I think he was up top. Counter flash, but it shouldn't matter too much. The HP is so much in favor of their opponents. I don't know how EDG are going to find a gap in here. Oh, Tex just kind of got lost a little bit. No cover either. Somehow we're back in a 3v3.
Yeah, the EDG have managed to create their own opportunities. The real problem, though, is the time on the clock and the amount of Gen G players tucked away. EDG make the call. They go aggressive to try and root these players out of post-plant positions, but Meteor's got an angle, and up top, they've spotted that there's not one but two players ready to pounce. A good response from Gen G. The gap is only 4. It's obtainable, but this road is filled with peril.
Yeah, I'm not sure I feel like I believe at this point. There hasn't been too many convincing rounds, even when Gen G have been winning it. We've had multiple flawless rounds already from EDG in this half. Like, look, they're buying in with an operator and can still comfortably buy this round and the next. So this is already where the game changes. They also had to use the Thrash to actually be able to take the space. They're not going to have that one in this round, but they are 1 away from a lockdown. Already, a lot of information garnered by the side of EDG. That initial knife has spotted the majority of players. Viper's Pit could be thrown in here. Karen's actually rotated in very early, and they've got such an aggressive mid position that they can actually hold this spot and keep 3 players within the site. And similarly to what they did with the lockdown, if they throw Viper's Pit in here, it may just be used to deter. I don't know if that will have connected. I don't think it did.
Doesn't look like it. Player slightly out of the circle, especially with the height of it. Flash in deep, but he already saw him. Well handled to find the first. The numbers sit towards Gen G with the site under their control, and now the actual advantage, 4 versus 3. EDG on the fight back. They've got a flank underway. They've managed to sneak their way up pretty close with that turret down. I mean, they've got a lot of control, but Gen G have to be aware of this. And even as the turret comes back up for a moment, it's too late. They've already gotten past, and it's Concon, the danger man. Now operator in hand, dash online, Bladestorm in the back pocket, and he's making his way forward. He's making noise while the rest of his team come in to fill the gaps, and the players spotted up top. That's an ambitious way to try and take that fight. Munchkin's actually got an opportunity now, but Smoggy saves the day for EDG. That could have been a way back through for the attacking side. Instead, it's 12-7. EDG on map point on their opponent's map pick.
Yeah, this is the thing that's now become peculiar, because although Meteor has probably been the best player individually for Gen G, that's a couple of times now where I feel like they've been boxed in either from him dying and just not realizing his util gone, or in that case, him being so far forward that his util goes offline. Now that's a mistake that you just can't have. You're in a man advantage. He doesn't need to be that far forward, and if he is, somebody else needs to be aware of it. Those are mistakes that if you give those over to EDG, you're done. You can't allow Concon that much space.
This is it. It was a small window, and I think obviously a lot of this impact coming out of Smoggy popping the ult. This just delayed Gen G's info and allowed that gap for Concon to sneak up behind. 5 opportunities to close out this map and send us to split, where EDG will look to close the door on Gen G's run. This is a scary time. The Gen G, they looked very, very good regionally, but wow, it was a big challenge.
They also beat Loud.
That's true. Yeah,
like, that's
absolutely.
The thing is, like, they look good regionally. They beat HyperX, they beat Loud, they beat DRX. Like, these are all teams that in the past would have beaten them, all 3.
3 out of 3 times in the case of HyperX.
So they have been massively improving, but the fact is, right now, Gen G look a little bit flat, and they're making errors that I just didn't really expect to see on their map choice on one of their best maps. It is not what you want to be seeing. And as said, there are a few maps that I would heavily hand over to the side of EDG, and one of them is split. Funnily enough, the other one is actually Breeze. I've not enjoyed, like, Gen G have had some rough games of Breeze, so they lose this map, and, well, EDG have 2 opportunities on maps that I favor them on to close out this series.
Well, you know, 4 ultimates is usually a very strong position, but more so for EDG. If they had 4, they could dump them all into a round and just claim 1 round win, move on to the next map. For Gen G, they have to be a bit more conscious of how they use these. So obviously off rip, you're going to see the Blade Storm pop to make up for the economic disadvantages. Munchkin also using his ultimate, the Null Command, I mean, robbing them of their abilities if they're close enough, and a Viper's Pick committed. So I said they need to reserve them. They have dumped them into this round, with a lockdown being the only thing they'll carry through to the next.
I don't know if they will.
That's the thing, if they keep it.
Yeah, the Judge investment, I like it from Munchkin. He's going to play a close corner within this Viper's Pit. I feel like they almost need this one just to keep their economy strong, and they are utility dumping. Already Texture's going to pick off one, but so much util thrown in to clear him out. It's easier said than done, though, as he takes out Chichu along with it. Nobody trying to clear this backline. Somehow Kankan's found another. They may not get to use that ultimate at all because they're being picked apart. It's left all on to Karon, but the time is ticking low. If he gets this kill, it's surely done, and it will be. But he's going to go down with it. That was meant to be an economy builder as they spam all their ultimates bar 1, and they don't even get a single player out alive.
Yeah, that's, I mean, just take a look at the credits. No one's able to get their full shields alongside the rifles. Maybe one player is, but that's about it. This is going to be a really tough position to play from because, like we said, there's almost 2 ways you could look at it. Save the ultis and try to use 1, maybe 2, incrementally tick them over and use them as safety nets in these rounds, or dump them and build that economy. So you've got rifles. This is the worst of both worlds.
It came down to Red Bull clutch. That's all you really need to know.
So
and
now they've got
it was
to do
clutched by the spike.
I also, worth mentioning, I like EDG's approach to just not play heads up into the Viper's Pit, to move around the back and try to contend for the backside all the way down that laneway. It's a good idea, and you can see it very nearly worked for them. I think if Gen G had slightly less ultimates
Where's
pop,
he going?
the round would have fallen away. This man's crazy. He hasn't even popped his dash yet.
Yeah, he also doesn't know that someone's already crossed to the other side. So this really is a very, very audacious play. He's dead. He's definitely dead. I don't know if that was maybe slight misinformation, but even still a filthy shot to open. The take in the meantime has come in onto the B site. No. A single bullet tapped and Chichu just ruins his opponent. They're not even going to get the spike down, and now this is a problem. Things become so much more difficult. The spam through from nobody is so clean. And now Texture, the hero, the man that has been highlighted throughout this tournament so far. He's got to find 3 to try and save them. The spike is down. Nobody has already spotted him on the angle. There is no hope. EDG come through with a dominant victory when it comes to map number 1. And they have their choice next.
Yeah, this is where it gets scary, Tom. Like you said off camera coming into today that after we saw the veto, it looks like we're probably going to go to that map 3, right? We're set up for both teams to take their pick. Will Gen G now find themselves quite a bit behind in this series with Split coming up next and Breeze afterwards? Don't go anywhere because we'll be breaking this one down after the break.
Excuse me, would you mind taking a picture of us?
Oh, no problem.
Thanks.
Ooh, yes, problem. You need Verizon. Trade in that old thing and get a new iPhone 15 Pro with tons of storage, so you can take all the pics. So many selfies.
A preposterous amount of panos!
That means panoramic.
And as many portraits of me as your heart desires.
How about none?
None, yeah, none feels right.
Trade in any iPhone in any condition and get iPhone 15 Pro and iPad and Apple Watch SE all on us. Only on Verizon.
Red Bull gives you wings.